Hey everyone! Going after what you love isn't just about courage, but it's about balancing family and finances as well. This episode is specifically for moms and dads who are the only divers in the family. I wanted to make this episode because of my personal experience. I have 2 kids under the age of 10, and sometimes it's hard to balance family life and diving life. You really want to be in 2 places at once, and you just can't be. And you have to learn how to split the finances between family and diving. Not just the finances, but also splitting time. Time between diving and time being spent with your family. And I also wanted to talk about a little bit of how I budget for family vacations and for diving trips. There is a little bit of push and pull because you're wanting to dive, you're wanting to travel, you're wanting to create, but you're also wanting to be a great parent, be responsible, be present, travel with the family, all while being financially wise. A lot of the people that I dive with don't have kids, and if they do, they're either older or they're moved out of the house. So it's different for divers without kids versus divers with kids and what we have to think about. Sometimes a dive trip will be brought up, even if it's just something to Florida for a long weekend or something like that, and I'm already thinking like, yes, I'm on board, I really want to. I'm very eager for adventure, I've always been that way. But then my brain goes, Marissa, stop. You have 3 other people to think about. So it's a matter of thinking about the entire family and then just a life of family of 4 and the expenses that come along with it. The financial side of it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. But in my opinion, the way that I want to dive anyway, diving is expensive. All the gear, which if you maintain it, it'll last you for years as long as you're on top of the maintenance. But the gear, trips, if you're into the photography aspect of it like I am, all the photography gear, especially for underwater as well, it all adds up. Personally, I don't know anyone who is one and done with diving. I guess you can be, but on that hand, you would probably just rent your equipment. Because once you get certified in diving and you see the underwater world, you're gonna wanna dive more and more. And then you're gonna wanna travel because there might be a certain marine life in this area that's not in any other part of the world. Also, I don't live near an ocean, so for those of you who don't live near an ocean, that's an extra cost for you guys as well, compared to someone who lives on the coast and can just dive every single day if they want. So you have to find a healthy balance. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be intentional. Balancing starts with planning. So for any trip, whether it's a family trip or a dive trip, knowing the exact dates early on can help you make more responsible choices. You'll know exactly how far out the trip is in order to better prepare for it. Once you have the dates, you can then look at flights and hotels. And I normally book the flight and hotel on the same day, but this can be weeks to months after the dates are figured out. For example, if I want to plan a trip for October of next year, 2026, I will set the dates now, and then I won't book the flight or hotel until probably like March or April of next year. This also gives you more time to save up for it. Also, on dive trips, if you have a buddy that you get along with, you can always share a room and split the cost. Me and Carrie, we do that all the time, and it's nice because, and we always say that it's a great idea because we save on the cost of the room. I have kids, she has kids, so it just works out perfectly that way. How you can budget and plan in a realistic mom or dad kind of way. First and foremost, you always want to have open communication and a conversation with your spouse. I've made this mistake a couple times. Like I said, I'm very eager for adventure and I'm very quick to say yes. And sometimes that gets the best of me. By planning trips in advance, you're able to put enough money away so you're not scrambling or overspending last minute. And I do this with both family vacations and dive trips. For family vacations, like we do, you might already have a vacation fund with you and your family that you put money in every month. For diving, you can have a dive fund. A small amount from each paycheck can add up quickly, especially if you're a seasonal diver, and you can use this fund toward your trips and dive gear. You can think about having a dive trip with just you and the people you dive with, or you can bring your family along as well. It depends on where it is, if it's domestic versus international, what would be easier for the family. You're timesing your flight by 3 or 4, however many you have in your family, and what your budget will call for. So that would be a conversation you would have to have with your family. For dive trips, you can look for off-season dives or weekday dives where the prices might be lower. With off-season dives, depending on where you are, you just want to make sure what the weather conditions are and what the water conditions are going to be within that time of year. For example, if you plan on going to Florida for a week, and it's during hurricane season, you don't know what the weather is going to be like. You might be perfectly fine, but you just want to look into it a little bit more before you spend your money. You can use seasonal diving to your advantage if you're a seasonal diver. So I live near the Great Lakes, and living near the Great Lakes, the dive season kind of has its natural rhythm. So I'll plan my bigger trips outside of my dive season where the water's colder, and like right now there's snow on the ground. I don't want to get into the water right now where I'm located. So I'll plan my trips in the off season here, and then during the spring and summer when the water is warmer, I'll dive more here. But this also gives me a chance to dive in the off season as well. You want to prioritize gear purchases by safety first and then your wants second. So the gear that you need for your safety, you're going to want to purchase those things first and foremost. And then the things that you want, extra accessories, photo gear, anything like that would be secondary. You can also compare trips, group trips versus solo trips, short domestic trips or longer international trips. You know, going for a 4-day weekend to Florida versus a 10-day, 11-day trip to the Maldives. That's going to be more money, and you're counting those extra days just to get there. Just as a reminder, and I've come to learn this as well, budgeting doesn't take away from the adventure of diving. It makes sure you're enjoying diving without hurting your family's stability. But there's tons of ways to include your family in your diving world without them actually being in the water or divers themselves yet. I know for my daughter, she's 100% on board to become certified. She's just not old enough yet. So when I go away diving, she kind of gets mad at me right now. And I ask, honey, why are you getting upset that I'm going diving? I don't go that often. And she's like, because I want to go with you. I said, honey, if you want to get certified when you're old enough, you will 100% go with me every single time. So she gets a little upset because she wants to be there too, and she will be. My son, I'm not sure yet. He's still younger. We'll see what happens with that. And as of right now, my husband doesn't want to, so who knows what will happen. But there's ways to include them even though they're not divers. The first thing being is storytelling. I tell my family exactly what I saw, the colors, the details, the animals, the funny moments underwater or on the boat. You want to bring that excitement home with you because they absorb that, especially the kids. Show them your photos and your videos. Let them be amazed over the cool things that mom or dad saw. Teach them the names of the fishes or the animals you saw, and maybe some characteristics of them. Make conservation part of family life. You can talk about plastic or pollution in the Great Lakes and the ocean. You can do beach cleanups and freshwater cleanups with them. You can talk about marine life on their level. So for example, a 5-year-old, you wouldn't explain a marine life animal to a 5-year-old like you would as an adult. They would just have glazed over eyes and ask you what kind of snack they can have because they're hungry. You want to explain it to them in a way that they will understand and that makes them engaged. You can invite them into decision making. You can say, hey, should I go see sharks on my next dive or should I see shipwrecks? Which one should I do? Or they can help you pick out gear. If you have a certain color theme for your gear, maybe give them a couple of different options of what you like and say, hey, which one do you like better? And kind of just get them involved that way. You can use your diving to teach them emotional lessons. For example, patience, mindfulness, curiosity, courage, respect for wildlife, which is a huge one for me. My personal checks, actually, ever since I got a checking account, says, please respect wildlife on them, and they've always been that way. So that's a big one for me. But it makes diving a family culture, even if they're not in the water. There is a realistic give and take with diving. You have to be realistic about this. Some days you're gonna sacrifice the dive. Other days you choose the dive, and it's all okay. Some seasons are gonna be family heavy where you're not gonna be able to dive as much, and other seasons will allow more time for your passions. The balance is always gonna shift, but the commitment to both stay exactly the same. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. You show your kids that you can love them deeply and be there for them and still show up for yourself, which is also important. Stepping out of your comfort zone. By stepping out of our comfort zone, we grow. If you stay in your comfort zone, nothing will happen. Nothing will change, and your dreams will die. Comfort zones are extremely safe, they're extremely predictable, and they're very controlled. Nothing new will happen there. And there's tons of benefits of stepping out of your comfort zone. You build confidence by proving you can do difficult things. You discover new passions, skills, and strengths that you didn't even know were there. You open the door to new experiences, and these experiences can change you, whether it's diving or photography. You're meeting new people and you're going to new places. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and brave in all areas of your life, not just diving. And every time you push yourself just a little bit farther, whether it's a dive you're nervous about, or a trip, or sharing a story, or just being vulnerable, you always come back a stronger version of yourself. And that is a really good example to set for your kids. So let's talk about the parent side, the guilt, the reality, and the purpose. I don't know if this happens for dads like it does for moms, so let me know in the comments below for those dads that are watching right now, but mom guilt is extremely real. There's always this mental tug of war that's going on in your head. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Are the kids gonna be okay if I'm gone for a week? Should I not spend money on that dive gear? And there's emotions and feeling selfish of wanting to do something just for yourself. But you can reframe it because you can show your kids that it's healthy to have a passion. It's gonna teach them to live fully and not just exist, and to chase those experiences that make them feel alive. It'll teach them to explore the world safely with curiosity, awareness, and respect. It'll teach them to care deeply about something meaningful, whether it's conservation, creativity. It'll help them find their purpose. And it'll teach them how to take calculated risks, not to be reckless, but also to not let fear freeze them in a way where they can't experience what this world has to offer them. I want my kids to know that it's okay to find something that makes them feel alive. And I want them to see what it looks like to go after something that you love so much, no matter what your age is. I want them to see a mom who didn't shrink just to make other people comfortable. Your passion doesn't end when parenthood begins. It evolves, and it sets an example. Honestly, my passion didn't start until after I had kids. The passion itself was always there, but I decided to go for it after I had my kids. I always put my wants aside to make other people happy. I was very depressed with my life. I felt completely stuck. I was doing the same thing day in and day out. It was very routine, and I had no goals and nothing I was working toward, and it was killing me very slowly. My kids, and they don't even realize that they did this, but they inspired me to go after what I love, because I didn't want them growing up seeing their mom unhappy and miserable with her life. Which is why passion really matters for parents. And I'm gonna get real right here, and I'm also going to quote a Steve Harvey clip because I love him. But the vision that you have, that thing that lights you up inside, that dream that you keep thinking about and keep dreaming about, was meant for you. It wasn't meant for the 99% of people who don't understand it. And believe me, the majority of people will not understand it. Like Steve Harvey says, I should put that link in the description. I think I will, because it's just so good. Your dream was put inside you by God. He put that idea in your imagination, not anyone else's, because nobody else was supposed to see it but you. It wasn't for them to see, it was for you to see. And you are the one who's capable of making it happen. So you don't want to sit back on your dreams feeling stuck and completely unfulfilled. Your dreams aren't selfish. They're part of the blueprint of who you're supposed to become. Everyone was born with a purpose, but God gave us free will. He put all the ingredients inside of us. It's up to us to put those ingredients together and go after our vision, go after our dream. And we do this despite the fears and despite the challenges that we face along the way. That is where your faith comes in, and that is where you pray a lot. But by doing this and going through that process, your kids are watching all of it happen. They learn how to dream by watching you dream and go after it. So being a mom or a dad and a diver isn't about choosing between the two. It's about showing our kids that passion and purpose can coexist alongside with family and love. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather show them what it's like to live with purpose than to not go after it and regret it later in life like so many people do. I want them to know that it's okay to be different, and it's okay to go after your dreams even though people don't understand it, and they won't. Not everyone is going to see it. My dream wasn't meant for anyone else but me, just like your dream is meant for you and not anyone else. But I want my kids to know that they deserve to chase their dreams too when they're older. I hope this episode helped. If you have any other advice as to what you guys do for a family and diving balance, what has helped you, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And I am working on, my husband did agree to it. I just have to set a date to do it, but I'm going to interview him as well. I'm coming up with questions now just to get his side of everything. Being married to someone who dives and who goes away on trips, and what his view is like on all of it. That should be interesting. He doesn't dive at all. He doesn't really have an interest to dive, so it's definitely going to be an interesting interview. But as always, dive safe, dive smart, dive mindfully. Bye, guys.